What is up YouTube, my name is John and today I decided to do a little bit of a different video because today I will be ranking metal genres from A to E, and I actually asked you guys on Instagram if you would like to see that, and there were like the majority was yes and there was like one no. So I went to tiermaker.com because that is where these tier kinda things are, and I was trying to find, a suitable tier list where I could, find all the tiers that I would like to rank, and I had a lot of trouble finding one where the genres are just, where the most important genres are, and sometimes it was like these pictures, like, I don't know what genre that is, I can't read that, is that grindcore, is that, I don't know, vegan folkcore or whatever, I have no idea, but finally I found one that actually kinda works for me, so we're going to start right now, and the very first one that comes up is heavy metal. Now, heavy metal, obviously, I believe that not just me, but also a lot of you most likely started with this genre, and I believe that I was no exception because I actually had my progression when it comes to genres. Obviously, it started with rock, hard rock, bands like Him, The Rasmus, I don't know, Silverchair if I remember correctly, U2, something like that. My sister was listening to this kind of stuff. And, in the beginning I kind of hated it, but, as time went by, I kind of absorbed it into myself and then went to heavy metal, I believe. And while I'm not actually listening to any heavy metal, like purely heavy metal bands these days, I still gotta respect the genre for what it is, because on the heavy metal, on the foundation that heavy metal built, all the other bands basically started, to build their sound. Black Sabbath started it all. Like, some people actually say that the Beatles just kind of originated hard rock or heavy metal or just metal in general. That is up to discussion, but for me, just simply out of respect, I gotta get heavy metal to B. I'm not gonna go to A because I don't really listen to it personally anymore, but I respect it so much because without heavy metal there wouldn't be any other metal, So there is that. Okay, right now we have power metal, and that was like the second phase for me when I discovered, Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, and even, some hard rock bands and stuff like that. I was like, okay, so where do we go from here? What is the next great thing in metal? And I believe that, a lot of people actually around here listened to stuff like Hammerfall. Later it was Sabaton, and I can't even remember those bands, man. Like, I believe there was one band from America, I just can't remember, Hebria, that had a great song, Steel Lord on Wheels, I believe was the name of the song. It was just so freaking cool and so speedy, and the high-pitched vocals were just like, oh my god. So you have also Dragon Force, who are kind of more like into that. They call themselves sometimes extreme power metal, and they are not afraid to incorporate blast beats and stuff like that. And power metal was definitely, for me personally, very important, and I still do enjoy listening to it nowadays, but I'm kinda, it's not something that I would just sit down and turn that up. And my thing is that sometimes power metal can be really stale and sound, some bands just tend to sound all the same all the time. And sometimes it gets to, like cliche and stuff like that, with, dragons and some of these lyrics like super, I don't know, sometimes it's just too much, a little bit too cheesy, but I still respect it because it had it played a really important part for me. But lately I've just heard so many power metal bands that were like, okay, so these guys sound almost exactly like band, that made it with this kind of sound before. and I just feel like there is not all that much, you know, originality or fresh sounding songs or bands in power metal these days, and the genre just is kind of a little bit stale for me right now. So with this said and with this in mind, I'm actually gonna go with the tier C. Now, right now I see a cross, and I believe that is Christian metal, I guess. And for me it's kind of weird because I don't really consider it a genre. You know, it's just metal. It can be heavy metal, it can be power metal, it can be metalcore, maybe even deathcore, basically any genre, and it just falls under this umbrella of Christian metal. So when you say to someone, I'm listening to Christian metal, it's like, okay, but what is the genre? You know, it just is this kind of umbrella for these, you know, religious, god damn it. The thing with this is, I believe that, you know, metal, heavy metal, and maybe even like hard rock, you know, those bands, especially in the past, but still some people consider it today like to be like the devil's music or something like that. And that is just so freaking, oh my god, so many face bombs at once, just 1000 face bombs. If anyone still thinks that today, you're out of your goddamn mind. And I believe because some, you know, some Christians or some people that believed in God, when these people, you know, started discovering this metal music and it kind of seeped into their community, it was like, whoa, okay, so they are Christian and they are playing metal. It's like a wow effect, and from this wow effect, this genre, I guess I could say, kinda erupted, and it kinda incorporates any other genre. For me, it's not even a genre, that is what I'm trying to say. It's more like, you know, they are Christian and they play metal, and we put them all under this one big umbrella. So for me, it's not really a genre, but I definitely do enjoy bands that play, I guess, Christian metal, I could say. You know, I really love the band Demon Hunter and a couple of others. I believe that Skillet is a very cool band. I even saw them live, really, really great stuff. But since I do not really consider it a genre, I'm gonna just go with E. Just like, you know, it's not really a genre for me because it just, you know, umbrellas all the other genres into this, you know, it's, you know, songs about faith or God or whatever. But actually, Demon Hunter and their songs and their lyrics, and even Skillet, I say, their lyrics, you can still connect to them, and you can be, you know, an atheist, I believe. You know, my whole family has been I can't pronounce that word. We just don't, you know, believe in any gods and stuff like that. My family has been that for, you know, generations, I believe. My mom told me that, so there is that. But I can still definitely, you know, find my own personal messages behind these songs. They are just written that way. It's not like something, oh, God is great, oh, God is good, oh, God is everything this world has to offer. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore, but that is it for Christian rock or Christian metal. Now, what do I see here? That is glam metal. And oh boy, do I have an opinion on all things glam, basically. So here's the deal. Glam rock, glam metal. There are some extremely talented people that play or played in these genres. But the thing that they just have to, you know, wear certain stuff, you know, just, I don't know, man. It just visually for me, it's like, why? Why would you do that? Like, I can understand some bands like Ghost. I can even understand Kiss, man, because Kiss, you know, they were the band that kind of did this and make it like really big, you know. But a lot of the other bands that have been spawned, I could say, after this, after the Kiss boom, it's just, I don't know, I feel like the emphasis is more on hairspray than on music sometimes. Not all the time, there are some amazing solos and amazing musicians in, you know, glam metal, glam rock bands. And actually the band that I personally played in, you know, they, our bassist actually said, oh yeah, we play like sleaze rock, and just the word sleaze, I'm like, oof, what? I prefer the term glam, you know, glam rock, glam metal. We had some, you know, we actually had our own songs. You know, I believe that the live performances must have been fun, and, you know, the musicianship is still there. But for me, it just feels like it's a little bit less about the music than before, and it's a little bit more about how crazy you look, you know, who can pull the craziest stunt, who can do the, you know, who can, I don't know, party for a week, week in a row or something like that. It's just, you know, something just doesn't feel right about it for me, and I probably would never listen to it, you know, just like sitting here and, oh yeah, I'm gonna listen to some glam rock or glam metal. Definitely no. You know, if I heard it live, I would be like, okay, yeah, cool. But I'm gonna go with E because it's just not for me, and there is that. Now, extreme metal. That is also quite a big umbrella, and I'm actually going forward a little bit. I see there is deathcore, there is death metal, there is thrash metal, and even doom metal. And I believe that all of these can really, you know, go under that umbrella if they play in a certain way. Extreme metal, but what can I actually put under extreme metal? Let's say Archspire, technical death metal. You could say extreme technical death metal, but, you know, extreme is something that just goes, you know, beyond what you usually hear, beyond what, you know, the usual listener, or let's say the more mainstream oriented listener is used to. And it can be a good thing, you know, just breaking the barriers and just going forward and push some stuff forward, you know, in terms of technicality, speed, and stuff like that. But sometimes it sacrifices a little bit of that, you know, just cool songwriting, catchiness, and something that just is memorable, because sometimes it can be crazy shreddery throughout the whole song, crazy drumming and everything around that, but you don't remember anything from the song as soon as it ends. It can be like song that lasts for, I don't know, 20 seconds and then just throw crazy stuff, or it's just, you know, noise. It can be a lot of things. I don't really consider myself like an extreme metal listener, but I know that some stuff that I listen to might be extreme to some people. Overall, I just believe that extreme metal can be either really good or really bad. It can push the boundaries of certain genres, or, you know, just mix some genres that were unmixable before. But it can also end up in a big mess of sounds, and it can just go overboard a little bit too much. So therefore I'm gonna go with C, because it's just somewhere in the middle. Folk metal. Folk metal is something that I enjoy a lot. Gotta say that, you know, LVT, there is Korpiklani, and you have tons of other bands that I can't really remember the names of right now. But they are out there, and there's just something that, you know, some of these, you know, ancient melodies and even like unusual instruments, they just found their way into metal music. And, you know, especially like bands like LVT, Anciferium, other bands, they just make it work so freaking well. It just blends together so well that it's a pleasure to listen to every single time. And, you know, you can do a lot of stuff. You don't have to just, you know, borrow ancient melodies. You can just add these instruments that are not usually heard in metal music and create something fresh and new with that. And that is exactly what LVT did. So that is really good. I really enjoy folk metal. Really enjoy listening to it. You know, it can be just fast, heavy songs, happy songs like, I don't know, Korpiklani, Beer. Think you've heard that one. If you didn't, you better go check it out because it's just a fun song, you know, it's kind of repetitive, but it's just a fun song to drink to. Actually, a lot of folk metal is good for, you know, just play it in a pub, drink a beer, you know, have a good old time. And folk metal, I just gotta go with B, man, because it's not, you know, my most favorite genre, but I can enjoy it so much, and some of these bands are just too freaking good, man. Whew, this one is gonna be hard. Doom metal. Now, doom metal is goddamn slow, but it doesn't have to be extremely slow. I believe that, I'm not entirely sure right now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Catatonia was, or maybe is still considered doom metal, and it's, you know, it's very melancholic and very like full of sorrow, and you know, a lot of bands up north, you know, Sweden, Norway and stuff like that, they do this kind of stuff. And I just recently, just like 2 months ago, I went to see Omnium Gatherum, and they were really great, but they are like melodic death metal, with a little bit of progressive vibe, I could say. There was one band before them, I can't really remember their name right now, maybe I can find the ticket. Hold on a second, I think I can find it. Oh yeah, here it is actually. I think... Oh, that's not the ticket. Oh, hang on a second. Alright, so I found it. So I went to see Omnium Gatherum, and there was this band, Hamfert or Hamfert. I'm actually not sure how to pronounce it. And you know, they were playing doom metal, and I was, you know, for the very first few minutes, I was just standing there listening to the music, and I was like, okay, so this is cool, really atmospheric, you know, clean vocals, harsh vocals, everything. But in a live setting, it just dragged so freaking much, so after like, I don't know, 1.5 song, I just went to sit down and, you know, just have a drink and get ready for Omnium Gatherum. But I was still listening to the band, and they were like great musicians, vocals were amazing, atmosphere was amazing, people were having, you know, fun. They were they really liked the band, but the thing is, I would probably not be able to just stand there and listen to that throughout the whole thing, because after some time in live setting, like, I believe that there can be bands, doom metal bands, that just can be fun throughout the whole way through. But sometimes you just gotta break out of that, you know, the slowness, because it just feels like one big long song that just doesn't ever end. And I don't know, man, it was cool. Sometimes, you know, there are bands that catch my attention, and sometimes I just feel like, yeah, doom metal, something is in there, the atmosphere. The atmosphere is something that doom metal just does so freaking good. But overall, especially when it comes to live experiences, it's not something that I would like enjoy, but sometimes here and there I'm actually gonna go for the tier, I would say D, man, because there are not all that many doom metal bands that I've heard. Maybe I just haven't heard enough to form a definitive opinion, but if you guys know any like great doom metal bands, definitely let me know. So, Viking Metal, actually. I don't even know if that's a genre, because for me it's like, you know, something, it's not just like I was talking about the Christian metal, Christian rock, because Viking metal is, you know, you got Amon Amarth, and then what other bands are considered like Viking metal? because for me it's like, it can be again power metal, it can be melodic death metal, or just straight up death metal, but it's just, you know, maybe just about lyrics and the image of the band, because when you see a Amon Amarth, you know, you see these strong guys from Sweden that just, you know, sing or actually growl about Vikings and, you know, pillaging and just battles and all that kind of stuff. I just don't believe that it's a genre just the same with pirate metal at the end right here, but I'm gonna talk about that in a minute. But Viking metal, you know, for what it is, I definitely do enjoy Amon Amarth, but I don't know any other bands that are like Viking metal. But I don't know, man. I do enjoy it. It's not something that I will listen to every day. I'm just gonna go with B because C actually. Sorry about that. Because I don't really consider this like a real genre. It's more like an image and, you know, lyrics and themes and stuff like that. But, you know, when it comes to music, it's just melodic death metal, as I said before, power metal. It can be, you know, anything as long as you're singing about Vikings and maybe you look like Vikings and maybe you do your live shows in a huge ship. So there is that. Okay, right now going on to symphonic metal. And oh my god, from what I see, there is not a single genre that is in the tier A for now. Maybe that is going to change very soon, and I believe I'm just gonna go with A on symphonic metal because, you know, some people actually called classical music metal music without distortion or without electricity, stuff like that, and I can definitely see where they are coming from, because symphonic stuff and metal, you know, going together is just one of the best things that I've ever heard. I mean, great example, Ghost Love Score from Nightwish. That is one of my favorite songs of all time. That is such an amazing piece of music. And in symphonic metal, you have so many amazing and talented composers, singers. I mean, just look at Nightwish. Goddamn, Floor Jansen is just a metal goddess, symphonic metal goddess, or overall vocalist goddess, I could say. And there's just so much you can do in symphonic metal. Now, I've heard some bands like going symphonic, but they sounded way too much like Epica, like Nightwish. It was almost like they were a carbon copy, I could say. But, you know, there was always something missing, like the vocal melodies were like, okay, yeah, you can sing, but the vocal melodies were kind of meh. And they were just trying to, you know, ride this wave of popularity of the genre, I guess I could say, because, you know, Nightwish is so big, one of the biggest metal bands ever, dare I say. But there's a reason why they are one of the biggest metal bands ever. And that is because, you know, Tuomas Holopainen is such a freaking mastermind, and he can write both songs that are just straight to the point and catchy and can, you know, interest or can catch the attention of a mainstream listener. That actually happened, you know. You got Nemo, then you got Amaranth and songs like that, straightforward songs, Elan. But then you also have these huge pieces like Creek Mary's Blood, you have Ghost Love Score, you have The Greatest Show on Earth, and many other songs that are just great, amazing, and there is so much to discover, so much emotion and hard work put into these songs. So what I'm trying to say here, that there might be symphonic metal bands that are just kinda, you know, using it for the sake of, you know, just being symphonic and just have that kind of, you know, tag on them. Yeah, we are symphonic, but, you know, overall it doesn't always work. But when it works, it just elevates the blend of these genres, just elevates the music so freaking high for me. So therefore, symphonic metal is an A for me. Or also one of the most talented singers, obviously. A lot of talented singers are in this genre, and, you know, it goes without saying, you have Tarja, Floor Jansen, you have, I don't know, Charlotte from the Lane, and you have Simon Simons from Epica, and yeah, there is that. Now we have death metal, and death metal, you know, just without any, you know, any other influences from other genres, just, you know, straight down heavy metal, oh, heavy metal, sorry about that, death metal without anything. It's just like, yeah, you know, it's fun, it laid the foundations kinda for this genre, but I don't really listen to that kind of stuff. You know, you had like 6 Feet Under, maybe even like Cannibal Corpse. I'm not entirely sure if... Actually, some people said like maybe even Napalm Death. Napalm Death, grind or death metal. I don't know, man. These genres just kind of went over my head, but death metal, it's not something that I would, you know, just listen to straight up death metal. Kind of gets stale for me after a while. But if you know any bands that are just like pure death metal and are fun to listen to, and their songwriting, you know, is captivating, you know, definitely do let me know, because I would like to hear that. But for now, I'm just gonna go with D, because death metal, you know, it's okay, but it can be okay, but it doesn't, you know, grab my attention all that much. And now we have thrash metal, and obviously you have huge bands like Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, Testament, you know, tons of other bands. And thrash metal is something that I was told is so freaking amazing, and you know, best genre. And some of the thrash metal fans actually are like, you know, they are enjoying that genre, but anything that goes a little bit, you know, out of that, maybe they enjoy death metal, maybe a little bit of industrial, but they don't really, you know, open up to many other genres out of that. I did not enjoy Metallica when I was younger. I'm going to be completely honest. I was like, I remember someone in school was like, oh yeah, you listen to metal, right? You gotta really like Metallica, right? And I was like, yeah, not really. You don't like Metallica? What the hell is wrong with you? By the way, that person only knew Nothing Else Matters, so there is that. But yeah, thrash metal, I had to learn how to like this genre. It's not something, you know, just stripped down thrash metal, it's not something that I will listen to on a daily basis. But, you know, when it's used right, and when there are some more influences from different genres, and when they can keep it fresh, it can definitely be very enjoyable for me, and I definitely learn how to like songs like, you know, Master of Puppets, and just the good old Metallica songs, even Megadeth songs, and Testament is also very cool. And, you know, thrash metal is kind of good with, you know, soaking up influences from other genres. You can do a lot of stuff in there, you know, it can be fast and freshy, but it can still, you know, you can still throw some melodies here and there, or some progressiveness. You can do a lot of stuff with this genre, so therefore I'm gonna go with B. Now we have metalcore. And oh boy, that one genre that, dare I say, you know, the older generation of metalheads absolutely hates, or actually a lot of these guys hate this genre because it's not real metal. Like, get the fuck out of here. I've heard this one way too many times and it's so fucking annoying. Like, metalcore, it is metal, there is no doubt about that. I'm gonna go with A because this genre can just soak up so many other genres, and it can be a lot of different things, a lot of, you know, a lot of different amalgamations, I hope that's the right word for it, of genres. So many amazing bands. I'm just so happy that I discovered this genre, because, you know, a lot of bands like Killswitch Engage, you know, As I Lay Dying is great. Then you have Trivium, All That Remains, you know, Bullet for My Valentine, August Burns Red. So many amazing bands, and, you know, just the kind of contrast between the more hardcore side and then more melodic side is just so freaking great. But these bands actually took a lot of, influences from the Swedish bands like Soilwork, In Flames, basically from melodic death metal. First there was melodic death metal and then there was metalcore, and if I could do... I actually don't see melodic death metal right here, so I would put that in A as well, because that was my gateway to like more extreme bands, I guess I could say, even though I don't like saying like extreme, but it was where I started to head more into the less, I guess I could say, less mainstream direction, or a little bit less mainstream direction, but I still do enjoy a lot of mainstream music. And, for that metalcore, it just, I don't know, man, I just have so many great memories listening to metalcore bands, and for me it's one of the genres where you can do a lot of stuff, you can experiment a lot, and you have deathcore, you have like mathcore, you have, many other little subgenres that just spin out of this one, and it's just so much fun. Okay, industrial metal, that is like, I don't know, Powerman 5000, or maybe that's industrial rock, I'm not entirely sure, I don't listen to that band, but I've heard some songs. But for me, industrial metal, when I hear industrial metal, it's like, first thing that comes to my mind is Fear Factory, because, that's really machines against humans, and you have, many, I guess you could also say groove metal, like something like, what was that band? Oh yeah, Ministry was the band that I had in mind. That was like one of the first bands that I believe was kind of considered to be industrial, but you also have bands like Rammstein. Those guys are like the most likely the biggest industrial metal band, even though some people say it's like some other genres, but for me it's still very industrial, because you have, a lot of electronic distorted vocals and just very, laden with electronics, and you really like groovy riffs, and that is why I actually mentioned groove metal, and I still can't remember the name of the band that I wanted to say. But you have like 9 Inch Nails and a couple of other bands that I can't really remember right now, but it's definitely a very enjoyable genre. Not something that I would be like super, crazy about, but I'm actually not sure if I'm gonna go for B or a C. But I love Fear Factory a lot. I really, really love that band, so I'm just gonna go, just for them, I'm gonna go for B. Okay, this is, what is that? That's gotta be like nu metal, and nu metal is something that, just like metalcore, something very controversial for some people, some metalheads actually, because they just, they just can't stomach bands like, I don't know, Limp Bizkit. Limp Bizkit is not something that I will listen to, it's like, it's out there, we used to listen to it a little bit when we were younger with guys that I know, but, nowadays it's like, but there's also bands like Korn, Linkin Park, Static X, El Nino. Me, and a lot of, my friends, we actually grew up listening to nu metal, and even people that, listen to pop these days, or rap, everyone that I know around here, from like my generation and a little bit younger and maybe a little bit older, basically everyone at least knows Linkin Park, and at some point in time they listen to Linkin Park. Linkin Park had such a huge influence, and it's just, it just incorporates so many emotions, and just the blend of the genres, you have rap and you have metal, and you also have like rap metal, but that is something a little bit different, because in rap metal I believe there is not all that much singing, but with nu metal you just have the right balance, or when it's obviously done right. I also really, really, really like Korn, Static X, Wayne Static, may he rest in peace, but the music is just, it just has some kind of primal energy in it, and you know, with hearing the actual rapping in these songs, like let's say, you know, Linkin Park, Mike Shinoda, you just really learn to appreciate rap when it's obviously good. And you know, Mike Shinoda is definitely an amazing rapper and songwriter. So you know, some people might kill me for this, but I'm gonna go with A, because for me this genre is just, yeah, there's a lot of bands that I have great memories with, and yeah, there's that. Okay, so right now I see Jared Dines and this huge guitar, and I believe this is, or this means gent. And I know that a lot of guys said like, yeah, gent is not really a genre, it's more like a guitar technique or sound or something like that. But it's been used so many times that I believe you just can't say, oh yeah, that is a gent band, because, you know, you immediately know like what you can expect, at least, you know, to some extent, what kind of sound, you know, just listen to Periphery or, you know, Meshuggah. Meshuggah were basically like one of the originators, or maybe the originators of this genre. But back then they were like extreme metal, you know, again with extreme metal, because people actually didn't know how to, you know, in which genre they could fit. Maybe groove metal, but it was a little bit different because, you know, the crazy time signatures, changes, and it was just insane. And Periphery just took it on a whole new level, at least for me, because they are just able to mix the technicality and the gentiness, the Thorness if you want, and they can mix it with accessibility, great melodies, great singing, and great progressive elements overall, electronics. There's a lot of stuff to talk about in their music. But overall, I know that some people hate gent, the word, you know, it's not a genre, it's not a genre. Okay, calm down. I'm still kind of torn, but you know what? I just love so many bands that use this kind of genre, sound, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna go with A, so there is that. Okay, black metal. Black metal was the genre that I used to like really not like, I could say hate. But then I listened to some bands and I was like, okay, you know, maybe it's not so bad, it's really intense, you know, but usually my gripe was with the vocals. The vocals just didn't do it for me. Sometimes it was the, you know, really dirty sound, but you know, it's black metal, it's gotta be dirty, it's gotta have that, you know, rawness to it. But atmospheric black metal, let's say, that is something completely different. That just, there are some bands that are so goddamn good, and when the songwriting is good, it's just mind-blowing, man. So that really, you know, took black metal for me into new heights, and I definitely learned to appreciate it more and more. And just for that, or not just for that, but overall I'm gonna go for the B tier, because there's a lot of qualities in black metal. We have, I don't know if that's like deathcore or just deathcore. I'm just gonna assume it's like deathcore. And if you asked me like 2 years ago, yeah, what do you think about deathcore? I would be like, not for me, you know, it's just boring, you know, those vocals just, you know, it's just there, but you know, it's okay, it's not really a big deal. But you guys actually who requested tons of deathcore bands on this channel for me to check out, thank you so much, because that was basically for me the game changer when it comes to this genre. Because I listened to bands like Shadow of Intent, Lorna Shore, Thy Art Is Murder, and that, you know, really, I really had like a big change of heart when it comes to deathcore, because Lorna Shore just take things so goddamn high and they can still be melodic. Songwriting is great, but you know, the intensity is still there. You know, you have Infant Annihilator who are just crazily over the top, but still so freaking great and funny. And Shadow of Intent, for me, I think right now still my favorite, because the way they melt, you know, symphonic elements, melodies, into this deathcore formula, and with Bandur's vocals, it's so fucking good. Like, listen to the latest album, Melancholy. I just listened to that thing throughout the whole thing. I wasn't bored for like a single song, single second. I was like, this is so goddamn good. So, deathcore, you know what? You know what? Actually, there are some bands that might be still a little bit too repetitive for my tastes, and you need to like really have a very solid songwriting skills to make, for me personally, deathcore really like, you know, captivating. So I'm still gonna go with B, but you know, there is a good chance that it might end up in A someday. And what the hell is this pirate metal? There's like, I believe there is Ailstorm, there was like a band like Rumahoy or something like that, and some Privateers or something like that. I just saw that. It's basically just a little bit different folk metal, I guess, because it is folk metal, maybe with some symphonic elements, but it's still folk metal. I don't consider it a genre as well, like, you know, with Christian metal. You know, they sing about pirates, sometimes they look like pirates, and, you know, just the overall pirate vibe, maybe like they just drink rum on stage. You know, it's enjoyable. I can definitely enjoy it. It's more on the folk metal side, while Viking Metal, like Amon Amarth, is more on the like melodic death metal side. But I actually don't know any other Viking metal bands apart from Amon Amarth, so there is that. But Ailstorm, really enjoy that. Sometimes, you know, they can write really intense songs like Captain Morgan's Revenge. That is a really cool song. But then you have song like something like Drink, which is, you know, reminded me a little bit of Korpiklani, you know, when it comes to the vibe of the song. It's just, you know, a great drinking song, a little bit of fun, and there is that. But I saw Ailstorm live, I believe, twice. I even met Christopher, the leader of the band, and it was really cool, just a lot of fun, and yeah, there is that. Alright, so that is my complete metal genres tier list. Wow, that took me almost an hour, holy balls. So there is that. I don't know how many of you guys made it till the end of this video or even watched the whole thing. If you watched the whole thing, you are the real MVP. I love you, you are great, amazing, and everything around that. But even if you didn't, I still thank you so much for just checking out this video. Let me know what you think about my list, let me know about your feelings about certain genres. If you would change anything, what you agree with me on, what you disagree with me on, and you know, we can talk, and maybe you can offer some great points that I completely missed when it comes to certain genres, because, you know, in some genres I'm still a little bit, you know, lost, like Viking metal, like, you know, it's just some amount of man, like singing about Vikings, and death metal, you know, straight up death metal, it's just like, yeah, okay, but I haven't actually listened to all that many bands, so there might be some gems out there, and I would still love, you know, to educate myself a little bit more when it comes to genres, but not just metal genres or rock genres, actually, just anything interesting that can just catch my ear. But for now, this is my list. Again, let me know what you think down in the comments. We can talk about genres, bands, anything that you want. I will try to answer all the comments if I can. So that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed my ranking of metal genres. If you did enjoy this video, consider leaving a thumbs up and subscribe for more stuff, because as you know, there is always more videos coming your way. And if you feel like talking to me outside of YouTube, there are links to my social medias down in the description below this video, as well as a link where you can directly support my channel and what I do here, either via PayPal or on Patreon. So guys, again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. So have a nice day, evening, night, or whatever you have right now. And yeah, I still don't like lab metal. So there is that. Cheers.